Hi, I'm Will Hamilton, founder of SmartPath.co, and today we're going to talk about the easiest way to talk to your clients about fees, even if they're your friend. So talking about fees can always feel awkward. The conversation is going great with a new client. You're just chatting, with someone that you've known for even a very long time. But then when the moment comes to say, hey, your tax return this year is going to cost X, or if you want help with that, that's going to cost at least Y, the situation suddenly feels weird and stressful. And we've all been there. Sometimes it just feels weird to talk about how much we have to charge. And so to fix this, we really need a better conversation structure. We need a simple script that you can follow to bring up your fees in a comfortable and natural way. And you can choose any conversation to use this script with so that clients aren't going to feel like you're trying to sell them. And if you're just winging it when it comes to fee conversations, or you're not following a structure, that's where the awkwardness comes from, because you don't know exactly what to say and how to say it at the right moments in the conversation. And so that uneasiness and that unknowing puts you in a position where it's not going to go the way that you may want it to go. I always relate it to trying to dance with somebody, but nobody's taking the lead. You don't really know which direction to go into. And so what happens when you start using the right structure for your fee conversations? Well, you can start to discuss pricing without any anxiety at all. It doesn't have to be a stressful moment in the conversation. It can just feel natural. You can talk fees with even longtime clients, knowing that the money conversation isn't going to ruin the relationship, because you're going to be able to bring it up in the right way and talk about it in a really effective way. You can spend more time getting work done versus talking about your fees, which I always love. And then you can quickly increase your margins so that you can pay yourself more, because you're going to bring up fees. You're going to make sure that the right clients are on the right package at the right price, so you're not giving away margin and you're not losing your profit. So there's a very simple four-part structure that you can use. We want to give you that structure today. We call this structure the perfect pricing script. It's one of the very first things that we teach firms when they're ready to start increasing their margins, instead of just, kind of taking whatever fees they can get. We've all been at that point in our practice where we had to take on almost any engagement because you just needed to pay the bills, you needed to make payroll, whatever it may be. But then once you grow to a certain level in your firm, you really need to be selective about the engagements that you bring on, so that you can make sure every engagement that you bring on has the right amount of margin, the right amount of profit. Or else, why do the work? If you're not making profit on it, then why take on that client anyway? Why is it that we use this specific four-step structure? Well, we've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of small firm owners over the last 14 years, helping them implement better pricing, helping them increase their margins. And there's really a pattern for what good client conversations look like when it comes to increasing fees. And we've studied this pattern for years with firms all across the United States. And what we've been able to do is structure this pattern so that any firm, regardless of size, can follow this structure and make talking about fees much, much easier. So here are the key elements of the script. And we're going to deep dive into each one of these together. Number one, you want to start with why. Number two, you want to create contrasts between your different levels of engagement. Number three, you want to describe your pricing process and how you're actually going to come up with a price for that client. And then number four, the most important thing, we're going to spend a minute on this, is you need to make it personal. So what I want you to do now is I would love for you to download your own pricing script document. You can go to pricingscript.smartpath.co and grab your download. And then while you're doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the script itself. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we're going to jump over to my iPad so that we can go through this script together and make sure that you can kind of see step by step how to do this in your practice. So when you download the script, you get to this page here, and we talk about how to use this script. And I want you to look at this gray box here. It's really important. Let me pull up my. All right, here we go. And on this third page, I want you to look at this box. And it says giving clients a choice is the number one strategy that's going to keep the client from feeling like they're being sold to, and keep you from feeling like you have to be stressed in the conversation. Because what your job is as the professional in the relationship, it's not to hard sell them or try to force them into an engagement. It's really just to try to educate them about what their options are. And then you can give them a recommendation for the option that's going to best fit their need, but it's not your job to hard sell them. And so to do that, you're going to want to start with why. So the first step in the script is to say out loud, why should someone want to pay your fee? And then you need to create context around why you have structured the fees the way that you have. The second thing that you need to do is you need to create some contrast. So we need to make sure that people understand what are the different levels of engagement they can get from your practice and what value is in each level. The easiest way for someone to make a decision is to see a contrast between two options so that they know which option is going to fit their unique needs. And so we got to create that contrast for the client. We don't want to leave it up to the client to do that themselves. The next thing that you need to do is you need to describe your pricing process. You need to give the client clarity for exactly how you both can move forward to determine what the price should be and really discover what type of engagement needs to be there based on the client's unique goals. And then the last thing that we need to do is we need to make it personal, because every single person that you're going to talk to about pricing is obviously a human being. They want to make specific progress in their life. And so we need to focus on that human element and not necessarily the technical details. And that's really important because the tax and accounting industry is a very technical industry. It's very detail oriented, down to the penny. And so sometimes it's very easy to get focused on the technical details and we lose that human element. But people want to work with you because of the person that you are and because of how you make them feel. And so we can't lose that human element. So here's an example of how you would set up your script and what you need to say in what order. And the first thing that we're doing is we're creating that context. And we're going to create context right here off the bat in this first sentence. So client name, Will. Obviously, a lot has changed in the world recently. Ever since COVID happened, things have been turned upside down. The client feels it. Obviously, we feel it in our practices as well. But a lot has changed in the world recently. And so now we're going to create contrast. We have two ways we can work with clients. We have the traditional option where we speak about once a year during tax time, and you're hiring us to file your tax return and or keep your books up to date. In this option, we have to bill you separately for help with things outside of the tax return because we're engaged to report on what has already happened, and we can only impact your outcomes in limited ways because the year has already passed by the time we file your return. So I'm going to make a note here on the script. This is going to be your lower level option. So just like when you're buying a car, you can buy a car that's the basic car. It's got, 4 wheels and cloth seats and roll-up windows. That's the basic level option if you want that car. Then we're going to create contrast with the higher level option, the one that's got all the bells and whistles, the one that's really going to make you feel good about driving it. In the second option, we're going to work together year round to ensure you're paying the least amount of tax possible. This can only happen through proactive tax strategies that happen at certain times a year. We're going to work with you to increase your personal and business cash flow as much as possible. That's what people care about. And then we're going to work with you to intelligently grow your personal and or business balance sheet so you're as prepared for the future as you want to be. So a note here, this is going to be let's call it the Cadillac option or the higher option of service, which is obviously going to come with a higher fee because you're working with the client year round, you're helping them on strategy, not just historic reporting, and you're really helping move the needle for the client. Then as we keep going in the script, this year-round option includes help for any strategies or threats that we'll want to address now, plus all the compliance work that we do for you normally. Now we're going to create some more context. We created this second option because we want to help clients more. And for clients that can benefit from this level of help, the traditional approach just doesn't allow the time that we need to deliver the best outcome in today's environment. Changes are happening too quickly, and a reactive approach no longer works. And here's where we can make a recommendation. After thinking about your specific situation, you'd be the perfect candidate for a year-round option. This would be one simple monthly fee that covers everything we would need to work together and ensures you're getting the best possible result now and for years to come. And we wouldn't have to charge you every time you needed help with something throughout the year. So this is that bundled option, that high value option. And now in this last sentence, we're going to start talking about how we would go about figuring their specific price. If you're interested, we can schedule a discovery call to talk more, and then you explain what that discovery call process would look like. And we have a whole other training on how to set up that discovery call. You can go to our blog to get that training. So we're talking about the two different options. We're creating contrasts. We're making it very clear about what the next step should be. Obviously, you're going to need to put this in your own words so that it sounds like you, but this is an example of the exact script that you could use with a client to really talk about pricing in a way that's going to be very easy for them to understand. Now, we also have a short version. We won't go through this together, but this is part of your worksheet. And you can use this as an email, or you can use it with the client on a phone call or a Zoom meeting. Now, in the notes section, a couple key things that we want to keep in mind. Number one, like we talked about, we want to make it personal. Don't think about your pricing in the context of a basic, a silver, and a gold package. Think about your pricing in the context of who is this person that I'm talking about, and what progress does this specific person want to make? Because if we can identify the progress that they specifically want to make, now we can give them context as to why we're going to recommend this specific package. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Client, you said that in the next 12 months, you want to accomplish X, Y, and Z. Well, in this package at this price, we can give you everything that you need to be able to accomplish that specific goal. But if we don't know what that client wants personally, then we're not going to be able to show them and give them a good enough reason why they may want one package over the other package. The other thing that I want you to write down is practice. It's going to take time for you to go through the script and make the script feel and sound like it's your own. I've used this script thousands of times, so it rolls off my tongue, but you're going to have to use it and review it and practice it. The 10th time you use it, it's going to feel a lot easier and a lot better than the first time you use it. But you can't get to that point of comfortability until you've used it 10 times. So practice it, practice it with your spouse, call one of your clients, that's one of your really good buddies, and say, hey, I'm, trying to figure out a better way to talk about my pricing with my clients. Can we jump on a meeting? Can I role play with you a little bit? We got to practice it as much as we can. The last thing that I want you to write down is going to be habit. It needs to become the new normal for you. As the owner of a company, we're often the ones that break the rules the most, right? We hold our staff accountable to following a certain process or going through a specific structure, a specific script. But then when it comes time for us to do it, we break the rules and we just go, we just wing it. We go off in left field and do our own thing. So the last thing that I want you to think about is, how can I use this in my practice and make it my new habit and stick to it every single time that I start having a pricing conversation with a client, so that I'm not breaking the rules. Because when you break the rules, that's when you don't get the result. And we want you to use this script to actually get a result, to eliminate anxiety in that pricing conversation, and to make sure that that pricing is going to lead to a higher margin, more valuable engagement for you and the client. So let's do a quick review together about the perfect pricing script. Number one, you got to start with why. Why are we talking about pricing right now? The world has changed. You need a better way and a better mechanism to start helping your clients. That's the big why. Then you're going to create contrasts between your basic level engagement, which is usually just tax preparation, and your Cadillac engagement, or your higher level engagement, where you're really able to work with the client year round, help them accomplish all the things that they want to work with. Then you're going to describe your pricing process. So here's the discovery process for how we're going to go through and identify your perfect price. And then the last thing is, you want to make it personal. You want to make sure that you're focused on that human being that's in front of you. Don't get too bogged down into the details, but focus on, who is this person in front of me? What do they really want to accomplish in their life? And then which one of my packages is going to potentially help them get there. So if you need help with the discovery process or coming up with a specific price for a specific client, we have all those trainings available on our blog. Go to pricingscript.smartpath.co, grab your pricing script, make it your new habit, and really start setting up your clients and having a fee conversation that feels good for you both. Thank you for being in this training, and we'll see you in the next.